So, do you need Grammarly? I decided to do a few checks, and here we have, as you can see, the word when with a B on it, when wrongly spelled, and then some Thai words spelled in karaoke English, Luang Popel, began to chant the Kata Aratana Pakrang. So when Luang Popel began to chant the Kata Aratana Pakrang. We'll do a little test here to see what Grammarly does, because it makes a lot of claims that it can spell check for you. So let's see if it can or not. And as you can see, Grammarly found nice work, even though I spelt the word when, W-H-E-N-B, Wenb, wrongly. It says it's a grammar checker you can rely on. Well, I couldn't rely on it noticing I spelt the word when wrong, could I? Can't even get the word when spelt correctly. Anyway, so let's have a look now within my WordPress blog, which is using both Windows proofreading and, of course, within the WordPress text editor, which you can see here. We also have a proofreader. What you're seeing underlined in the moment comes straight from Windows. As you can see, the word Grammarly isn't even a word. It's underlined in red. Now you see I've read Lunagabapa. I should actually write the word which, W-H-I-C-H-B, like I did in Grammarly, which is a completely badly spelled word. But I can tell you that WordPress would get it, and so would Windows, but Grammarly didn't. And so Grammarly doesn't just check your spelling, of course, but it checks for other things, which we're going to get into shortly, which is also bases its conclusions on completely false criteria, which I would say that, you know, this kind of grammar, I can add words to dictionary. So I could add Grammarly to dictionary, which I'm not going to because it's not even a real word. But something like Luang Po, yeah, Luang Po Pao began to chant the Aratana Kata Aratana Pakruang, which I've got a B on the end of. So Luang, L-U-A-N-G, B is underlined. If I take the B off, the underline should go away because I've added the word Luang to my dictionary. So we just look now. You can see I can undo, add to dictionary, proofread. It's offering me keylogger as a separate word instead of keylogger as one word, which isn't bad. That's already a good grammar suggestion, but I could leave it as one word. That's my writing style. That's up to you. There is no real actual way. And grammar is, you have American grammar and English grammar. The way you spell theatre in English or colour in English is not the same way you spell it in American English. So we see that I wrote that theatre. You can see here theatre, not like the theatre. So I can see that the first is the UK spelling and the second is the US spelling. So you can see that my keyboard on my computer is using US English and it's spotting misspelled words. Words like kata that don't come underlined in Windows are because I've added to dictionary. Now I've done a proofreading with the WordPress built-in text editor here. We can see the thicker red lines and you can see that it does not take any notice of either word theatre, but Windows does, which is the wiggly red line. That is Windows telling me the first word is not American English. It's not telling me it's English, but I know it's UK English spelling. So it's using American English spelling for its grammar, Windows. These thick red, straight underlined, non-wiggly lined underlines is the proofreader of WordPress, which is getting stuff I haven't added to dictionary. and is ignoring, offering me suggestions, which I can tell you are better than half the suggestions Grammarly is going to give me. So you can see it's offering me the American spelling of theatre from the dictionary. So that is Windows, not WordPress. I can add or unadd words I want to use often, which the grammar checker doesn't accept, but which I do accept. This is what I recommend you to use your own dictionary and make your own grammar. So we can go back to Grammarly and have some fun now with some different kinds of bad grammar and good grammar perhaps, and see how Grammarly analyzes it. Of course, it's not going to tell us everything because it's going to ask me to sign up to find out more detailed information. But we'll see how it markets itself with its first checks. And as you can see, one misspelled word is all it got, and doesn't say anything about the style of writing at all, which I would say, if you remember what the sentence said, it said for four foursomes, F-O-R, and then F-O-U-R, and then F-O-U-R-S-O-M-E-S. Yeah? For four foursomes. And it's given a tick for writing style. Now, the sentence for four foursomes is absolutely unhearable, and it's also a terrible writing style. But Grammarly's given me a tick for it, for punctuation and grammar, and one misspelled word, sentence structure, and no plagiarism. I'll go into plagiarism another day with Grammarly because I think that's a subject for itself. But as to writing style, I will focus on that. But all it's got is a misspelled word. Whereas if you write that in Notepad, Windows will find more than that. But it won't tell you about your sentence structure or plagiarism or style or punctuation. Well, it will tell you about punctuation, and it will give you grammar suggestions to a certain extent. And I believe it will actually leave you the freedom for your own writing style to just use the built-in Windows or Mac or whatever system you're using, or the text editor you're using, or the browser you're using even does it. Firefox does it. And make sure you're writing in the same, if it's English, American English. Yeah, see, they want me to create an account to correct writing errors and enhance my text. I don't need to create an account to correct my writing errors, because my spell checker already showed me that misspelled word if I write that in Notepad on my computer. I don't need Grammarly to show me a misspelled word. And so I think that's ridiculous. So we want to know about how does Grammarly deal with if you mix American and UK English together. How about that one? So we now see I went, there's the one spell mistake, theatre. We changed the word theatre now from the English UK to the American version. And it finds the same one misspelled word and gives the same tick for writing style. And so it knows that there's only one word that is written differently in that sentence, depending if you're in English or if you're in American English. Sorry about that notification just arriving. So I went to the theatre for four foursomes. For four foursomes. It's absolutely terrible writing style. So I'm interested now about the American and the British English. Because you shouldn't write in both, but you can if you want. And so I use, when I'm using WordPress Blogger, or I'm using any app within my Windows or Mac OS X systems, I use the built-in spell checking system. But unfortunately, here in Thailand, I have American English keyboards, and most of my WordPress sites are American English. Well, sometimes I'll write a blog in British English because it's for British people to read, and I'll spell it as a British person, and my spell checker will tell me it's all wrong because it doesn't know. It's an American spell checker. So Grammarly might be good for that, to know the difference, but I don't think it can really distinguish, make the right decisions between those two issues always. So here we go. We're looking for some American and English spellings mixed. I went to the theatre for 4 foursomes. So it has 2 misspelled words, and it's picked up the mixed dialects of English between British English and American English, which is good. Faulty subject-verb agreement. Now, what does it mean by that? It means that if the subject, which in this case of the sentence I made was I, who went to the theatre, which was colourful, is singular. So I is singular. That was the subject. That the verb must be singular. Or that if the subject of the sentence is plural, the verb also must be plural. So Grammarly said faulty subject. I went to the theatre for 4 foursomes. So the object is foursomes is plural, and I is singular. Yeah? If the subject of the sentence is singular, the verb must be singular. So I am singular. I went to the theatre for 4 foursomes. I wanted to have a foursome with people 4 times. 4 orgies with 4 people. So what's wrong with that? I don't see how that is a faulty subject-verb disagreement, that I went to a theatre to have 4 orgies. Yeah? And I don't see how a foursome is a verb. Yeah? And I went is the verb. So if that's a faulty verbal matter, yeah, I went, you went, he went, they went. There's the same ending for both plural and singular. There's nothing faulty about that. So a faulty subject-verb agreement. I went to the theatre for 4 foursomes. Yeah? So 4 orgies with 4 people per orgy. I went is the past tense of I go. So the verb, according to the faulty verb agreement, subject-verb agreement, I am the subject, singular, and went is the past tense of the verb to go. I went to the theatre, that's an object, but the verb, the only verb here is to go, which is wrongly spelt. Foursomes is not a verb. Foursomes, yeah, it's a noun. So, I went, I singular. If the subject is singular, the verb has to be singular. It's like, I go, they go, he goes. He is singular. The verb is singular, goes. Yeah, and so if he go, it would be wrong. But it's just not what Grammarly is getting. What Grammarly is getting is telling me this: if the subject of the sentence is plural, the verb must be plural. The subject of my sentence is singular, I. And so went is the verb, past tense of to go. Wrongly spelled, of course. So I went, they went, you went, he went, she went. There is no plural of the verb to go. So how on earth can the subject, a singular subject, have a singular verb to it or a plural verb to it, when in this case the word went applies to both singular and plural subjects? So basically Grammarly is not really going to be able to offer you much more multifaceted features than any normal spell check, built-in spell checking and proofreading, which is built into Windows or Mac OS, or built into the text editor. What you see is what you get text editor of the software you're using, or of your browser itself, which also has it. It's built into all of the. It's built into the app you're using, the browser. It's built into your operating system. What the heck do you need something like Grammarly for? Very sorry about this notification coming in. I forgot to switch off before I started recording. So now let's have another play with words. We went to the theatre with the American to see a play for 4 foursomes. On the next day, lack of a comma, I went to the theatre, lack of a comma, for 4 foursomes. So I'd just like to say, we went is the plurals subject with the verb to go, and I went is the singular subject with the verb to go. And so we're going to see what Grammarly says about that as far as verbal disagreements are concerned between we went and I went to the theatre for 4 foursomes. So Grammarly's proofreading the text now. Checking for incorrect use of numbers, subordinate clauses. So it's found a comma misuse within clauses. There's actually a lack of commas. There's a comma misuse within clauses and improper formatting. But good grammar, good enhancement, improper formatting to the style, and good sentence structure. When actually, if you look at what I wrote, it's a load of bollocks. I mean, it's really, really bad. It's absolute nonsense what I wrote. And Grammarly is considering this to be not perfect. It has an improper formatting in the style. Now, what it means about improper formatting, what should you say about that? What would you consider it to be the improper format? Well, I don't know what Grammarly would say, but I would say that the improper formatting was the lack of a capital W at the beginning of the first sentence. I really think there should be some commas in here. You see here, on the next day should be a capital letter, and the W should be a capital W, but any other normal text editor is also going to do that. And in fact, Windows, if you set it up properly, and Mac, will, if you do a double space bar after a full stop, or if you put a full stop anyway, it will automatically put a capital letter. So I went to the theatre for 4 foursomes as a proofread, which is terrible writing style. Let's see, Grammarly says, nice work. Well, that's not going to make a William Blake out of you, or any kind of excellent author at all, because that was terrible writing style. I went to the theatre for 4 foursomes. Absolutely terrible. And it's also not knowing if it's accepting if you're writing in UK or US English, but it's actually not considering whether you are publishing in US or to a US or an English audience. So it should actually also take that into consideration. Personally, I find the built-in spell checkers like these, what you can see in my WordPress blog, they tell me a lot more. They make me notice words. I decide if the word theatre is going to be spelt in UK English or American English. If I'm writing UK English in a text editor that's using American English to spell check, I mean, what's the point? Grammarly might be a help for that. Personally, I use my own conscious decision because I don't think Grammarly has the artificial intelligence to actually understand every person in every context. So there you go. Should I use Grammarly when my PC already proofs my writing? This is going to become a blog post, and this video is going to be inserted into this blog post you can see I'm writing, I decided. Seeing as I made a blog post as a demo to show you the grammar, the underlined grammar, both using the WordPress proofreader and the built-in, in this case, Windows operating system proofreading.